Welcome to the Inner Circle, where we bring you conversations that inspire, encourage, and enlighten. My name is Figile Oyekami, and I am your host. Whenever we talk about influencers in general, I'm sure teachers don't make it to that list. However, in my view, teachers are the original influencers. When I was in school, when we greet teachers, we would say, "Good morning, sir," and "God bless you." I don't know how people greet you this time. Should I say "Shapfede," "Hola"? What is the correct way of greeting a teacher?
Oh, well, I don't think there's a correct and an incorrect way.
Yeah.
I think times have evolved from the ordinary "good morning, sir," "good morning, ma'am." Just a good morning for me would just be fine. So I just feel there's so many things for us to do that we don't focus too much on the greetings.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do.
So if your student says sure say,
It's a sure say.
It's
I mean,
fine.
sure to you too. So whichever way.
Well, welcome. I must say, I also feel a bit of pressure because we're both English teachers. So if you feel that my English is a bit different today, just know it's because
Please.
I'm with Teacher Tabiso and Teacher Nhlakanipho. I know him as Nhlakanipho, but he's also called Gregory.
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 Thank you very much. Gregory.
So just so that I don't embarrass myself, I'll just keep sticking to Nhlakanipho because my tongue allows me to say it better than Gregory.
Finally.
Thank you so much again for making it. In my introduction, I was saying that when you talk about influencers, you would not put a teacher as one of the influencers. But in my view, like I said, you have a platform to speak positively or negative to the children that we entrusted you with on a daily basis. Do you see yourselves as influencers?
Firstly, thanks for having us. Thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, I would like to say I see myself as one. Looking back in my personal history, it was the teacher's words and what they said that had more impact than what my parents said. So if your teacher would say, "You'll be something great in the future," and your parent would say the same thing, it was the teacher's word that would carry more weight. So today, I feel, as I stand in front of them, I carry that much power. So whatever I say to the learners that sit into my classroom, or in my lessons rather, is very much important to either break or make that child. So I see myself as one.
Teacher Gregory?
Well, looking into it, greetings to your audience once again. With me, we need to consider before what inspiration used to be. Just before, during the times of apartheid, if you look at a teacher, their source of inspiration there was one of the noble professions that any black child could be. That was one of the highest places they could be. So their source of inspiration was derived from that, because they were inspired to secure a living. Nowadays, where you go to the mall, you bump into your teacher. You go to a shop, you bump into your teacher. You're at a restaurant, you bump into your teacher. A lot of things have become the motivation. The way you maybe your dress style, the way you speak, maybe the car you drive. So there has been a shift in terms of inspiration. For example, when I'm on the field and I'm running around with my sports girls or hockey or debate, the way in which I do that inspires them. So it's not really for them an inspiration to say, "I want to be like him one day and be a teacher and secure a living." It's much more a personal thing, a flexible lifestyle, being able to have your place in the world for me.
Yeah, with that in mind, what attracted you? I know I wanted to be a teacher, but my reasons were, I don't know if the same as yours. I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to, in my mind, the children of my teacher at that time were going to be my students, and I would get my chance to pay back. All the horrible experiences I had in primary school, in my mind, I thought if I teach this one's child double, that was my inspiration. But obviously, because it wasn't for the right reason, it wasn't heartfelt, I didn't pursue that. So, what made you choose this profession?
Mina, with me, I would rather not say I chose to be a teacher. I think teaching chose me. Because just like your singers now, they would say I started singing as a child. As a child myself, I would come back from school and teach my neighbors, same age group, what was taught at school. And to a certain degree, I would teach the bricks at home. Those houses which are left unfinished when the building. So I would take those bricks and they would be my students. And I would really give them a hiding for not doing homework. So years later, I look back, then I realized this journey started off while I was just a child. So to me, it was more so something that I think was a part of me, instead of it being something attractive that I would have liked to do.
So you're just living out your passion, basically.
That's it.
Yeah, and for you?
And for me, it wasn't, for me, I don't think it was a passion. I was inspired by the long holidays.
Okay.
Okay, no, I'm kidding. That's one of the perks.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest, I had so many things. I was an average child growing up. And as an average child, there's certain things you are not always picked in class to be sent to the next teacher. You are not always picked to give an answer, to render a speech.
You're not
chosen to write. You're not, yes. So I lived my whole life in debt, wanting to do so much things. And the only way I could get close to being a teacher's pet and to actually, curb that desire that I had as a child of being an average child was to actually become a teacher. I remember once when I showed a friend of mine how to do a sum, the way in which he came and said, you know what, now I get it. It was the most thrilling thing
finally,
ever. And I
there.
said, finally. And I think everybody needs to just experience that, hearing one person saying, now I get it, now I understand it, and knowing that you are the source of that, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And you are a teacher in an all-girls school, and we were just talking behind before we got on air that you're the only male teacher in your school.
No, I'm not the only male teacher in the school,
okay.
but I am the only male English teacher in my department.
Okay.
I think I've been the only male, in my department for the maybe past 10 years or so. And it's been really, really difficult, I was in a school whereby we were told that, girls need to be respected because they are like these ice queens that I was in a boarding school, and whenever the girls would come, we used to stand and just make way for them. We were gentlemen to ladies. But having been in an all-girls school, they speak anyhow. They sit anyhow. They are each other's friends.
Yeah.
They'll be in class, entering your door. They'll start fixing their skirts. They don't care because they don't have that pressure of a co-ed school. They have the pressure of saying that, I need to look pretty for all the boys, or I need to look like this. They don't have that pressure. Yeah. So they treat each other like family, like sisters. And some of the things that, you would want to teach a girl, say, no, girls don't sit like that. For them, it doesn't work because they are in a completely new world, in a very different world. They've got their own customs, they've got their own practices as girls. It's a wonderful experience. But being the only male in the department, you also will have to think that I am working with other female teachers. There's certain topics that are very sensitive. These are very emotional beings, I'm telling you. So a joke you would make in class full of boys and girls, it wouldn't be as relevant to them. It might be offensive. We have to also keep in mind the fact that we're facing gender-based violence. There's so much that's happening. So we need to be very sensitive when we're playing around with words, what we say.
You say you look a little bit chubby today.
No, you can't say that.
So you count your words.
You count your words. And with you, Thabiso, I know teaching in the profession of teaching, your voice is your instrument.
Yeah.
And I've had the privilege of knowing you for a long time, and I know the health challenges that led to the sound of your voice. I know students can be the most mean people in the world. You know, I mean, up to this day, when I go to my children's school, I still blush when they greet me. I want to do what I want to do and get out very quickly, because you become very self-conscious. Am I dressed properly? Am I this? Even within that 5 minutes that I'm there. So you have to stand in front of students who are potentially mean. I'm not saying all of them are. And you know that people get curious in terms of your voice, and sometimes your voice is not as strong as you want it to sound, yet you still went into this profession. What drove you there?
First of all, you know, when you grow up with a grandmother who always said, your voice is your invoice.
Yeah.
So at first it doesn't make sense as to invoice and your voice and how you should take care of the voice. And then having to deal with the learners laughing. I mean, it sounds different, particularly if I'm coming to a school for the first time. The worry is, I wonder how they're going to accept it. You should expect some to laugh, like some would like have an outbreak and laugh. Some would feel pity for you because they can pick up, oh, he's speaking quite differently. But I had to find ways which were interesting to make my first time learners to understand that this is who I am, and I have my other friend called My Voice, and his name is, and then we all laugh about it, and thereafter the lesson goes on. So, and also it's a matter of they must see that you are self-confident as well as a teacher, so that you are also building other things in them that they can look out for.
And I like what you're saying, because I mean, we were talking at the beginning that you need to inspire, you need to say words that will build them, but we don't think about how teachers also need to be, you know, the element of self-confidence. Number one, besides you're knowing your subject matter as an English teacher, as a maths teacher, just being there and believing that somebody will say, yeah, now I get it.
Yes. Yeah, now I get it.
So is it something that you need to wind yourself to? Because you don't have the same challenges as Thabiso. Do you have to every morning find a way to say, I can do it, I can, or you just go there and stand there and it just comes naturally?
Surprisingly, I actually do have the same challenge, because I remember the first time I spoke on the school intercom, someone came, one of the learners in the corridor said, you know, there's this new teacher, this female teacher. I heard her on the intercom. I wonder who she is. And not only that, at church over the voice, because I'm a voice interpreter. I've also heard people saying that, because I was involved in my years of varsity, I was involved in theater a lot. And in other places I had to be a woman, in other places I had to be a man, I had to act a certain way. So having been in the theater of art, sometimes when I'd have to come in front of a class and present a lesson, I also wish I had a deep voice. There's times when I wish I had a masculine voice. You know, imagine having me to say, why didn't you do your homework? And you want these people to take you seriously.
And I like what you said.
Learning,
the school environment is not the same as when we were young. There wasn't. I mean, both of you are not very strong in stature. You just ordinary. You know? A teacher had a certain presence, but they also used intimidation to get us to listen to them. How do you instill discipline and get those students to listen to you without using force, without calling them, hey, because they used to bully us, they used to body shame you, and once the joke is on you, no one else will try it, because they will see that, okay, he said this one has a big head. I better sit up, because I also have a big tummy, or I'm dark in complexion, or my hair is somehow. So how do you instill that discipline and get them to listen to you without saying, or use aggression?
It's simple. love. I think it comes with who you are. I've seen it over the years of my teaching experience that the very problematic child might be without love at home. So those are the type I bring closer and then love. And once that aspect is dealt with, it automatically commands discipline.
But how do you express that love?
Through attention, because in most cases they're doing that because they want someone to pay attention.
Yeah.
There might be an outcry that needs someone to say, hey, are you okay? And that is enough to then let you in the core of the problem that is a cause for their disruption and their nature to misbehave. Yeah.
So with your soprano, how do you get...
No, the soprano does not work at all. With me, discipline comes really in a lot of phases, right? It depends on the context, what kind of discipline you're trying to bring out. Okay, now firstly, the most common one for classroom management is positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement, we take privileges away. I prefer taking privileges away. Or giving positive reinforcement to say that, okay, you know what, I've seen that, you've been doing so well, you're not giving me a problem, like, okay, why don't I just read for the rest of the period, right? No one is going to read. Secondly, another thing that I do, I involve the parents a lot. They hate it. There is nothing learners hate than when you text their parents.
And taking their time.
Yes, and texting their parents. And I've had a parent say, you know what, sir, please take that cell phone. It's the cell phone that's making my child like this. And then I'll say, please give me your cell phone. And if it's your mother saying that, sir, take the cell phone. So involving the parent, there's nothing as bad as a child getting home and there's an SMS from Mr. Bembe. It kills the
But I
child.
suppose that approach works
Yes.
if a student comes from a functional family.
Yes.
Because I know my parents were not involved in
Yes.
my learnings, in my schooling. They didn't know my subject choices. There was not that involvement. So the only thing that they would do, if they would get a text, if they had, let's say they had cell phones, they would just say, "Yes, stop doing." Just that. There's nothing that they would do,
Yeah.
So in situations where students come from dysfunctional families, how do you help them? I know you said love, attention. Do you have people, because you sound like your school, they even have cell phones in class, they can text their parents and all that.
Yes, they can take a video of you while you're falling. So everyone seems to have. That takes me to the next phase of discipline. All right. The next phase of the discipline, that is when simply you come and you speak to the child. Simply try to engage with the child, be the child's friend, engage with the child, and try and find out where it's coming from. And then the last phase, which I really discourage, but if I learned that if you are not disciplined, then life will discipline you. For example, you've not been doing my homework. At the end of the semester, you find yourself failing. So now life is now your discipliner. I am no longer a person who's enforcing discipline, but life itself now, the outcome of your behavior seems now to be disciplining you and trying to shape you into a person that you actually should be, that you're not.
I don't know your school, like I know the name of your school, but I'm just getting a sense that we've got people, a set of students who come from normal families, functional families, who are driven, but it's not the same in other schools. There are kids who would be, I was laughing listening to one of the music artists who said he never did well in school. He hated school. And where he's from KZN, and he says there used to be corporal punishment, but when he came to Gauteng, there wasn't corporal punishment. The only thing you get is detention, but detention at home. You'll be suspended for a certain period of time. And he said, I loved it. I got into trouble more because I hated school. So if there was a way to be officially allowed to not be at school, I would go for it. Have you experienced? Because I know you've been in different environments.
I mean, learners get excited over you asking them to leave the classroom for not doing work. For some time I realized they were getting pleasure from it. So I would have half the class not do the work, and I would ask all of them to sit outside, and I'll be left with 2 learners.
Especially in winter.
28 learners outside. Then I realized this is working against me. So now I make sure that they are in class with or without work, and I continue doing whatever it is. So I counter what they expect, because they expect if we come in without a textbook, he sure is going to ask us to leave. And for the first time, okay guys, where are your textbooks? We don't have. Okay, sit down. I'll project whatever I need to have done during this lesson. So sometimes your strategies speak volumes. They need to speak for you, so that your learners don't cram your strategies to know, if we do this, he's going to do that. You must always think ahead.
So your learners are watching it, by the way.
Yes, they definitely watching.
Yeah, but now I'm sure there were surprises that were not obvious when you went to learn, when you went to study for being a teacher. What were some of the rude awakenings for the teaching profession?
That the learners we read about in textbooks, those are real people. They exist. The madness they talk about, it exists. It's there. I know we used to read about it and read about all the theorists who say that, learners act like this and they act like this. We never knew that they actually exist. We never
It
knew
was just a book.
Yeah, we never
Somebody's imagination.
Yes, that as a learner will just stand up and decide to do whatever they want to do, or just suddenly start dancing. Those people actually exist. They are there. They are there. It's there.
I mean, meeting a learner for the first time who's deliberately not agreeing with taking a particular assessment, and they would tell you, give me a 0. So we've known such issues with, from reading articles, reading about particular psychologists, behavioral, whatever we call them, and then you used to think, oh, this is just something that is on literature. And now for the very first time, you're dealing with a learner who tells you, I'm not going to write this.
I'll take a 0, it's fine.
I'll take a 0, it's fine. And that's a formal assessment. So these are things you get to schools and you realize university never prepared me for. And that's at a learner's level. And then you realize that at the level of the colleagues with which you work, there are other rude awakenings that you come across. So you are not only challenged at the level of the learners you teach, you're also challenged at the level of the people with whom you work.
And also, while you're on that point, another rude awakening was the fact that you get to a school, you're told that you're going to have these amazing learners who all lift up their hands, who all do their work. But we realize when my school is at the center of Parktown and Hillbrook, right? So just near there. So that's where we are. And as we're situated there, sometimes you find that you can't teach. There's learners who are hungry. There's learners who are going through psychological issues. I first have to feed. After feeding, then I need to counsel. Then after counseling, only then I can teach. So other teachers in all these sophisticated schools are able just to come in and teach. I first have to be a parent. I have to be a nurse. One will just start bleeding there. During break they play and they start bleeding and you have to nurse them. One will say they're sick, or you never know. There's just so many things, especially in our South African context, public schools especially. We have to be parents first before we become teachers.
So have you ever regretted, felt like, tomorrow they won't see me? I will not go in, I will switch off my phone. I don't care who says what, I am not going back there. As Pume shown,
truth be told,
you are protected, comrade.
Through you, Che.
Thank you.
Truth be told, there were moments, but realizing that this is a calling more than just a profession brings you to that point where you get out of the bed.
Yeah, but what was the reason, without really getting into a lot of things that are not for public consumption? Just on the on the surface, what were the things? Is it learners? Is it the demand of the profession?
In my case, it was learners, because at the first time teaching, because I have a history of teaching without a qualification and a history of teaching after qualification. So during the days of without being qualified, I taught Elokshini, my people. And then I get a qualification. Then I go to a totally different context of a different race. Now you have racial boundaries and racial issues. And then you feel like a stranger and an outcast. And then that's the kind of a situation where you sit in class and you feel like breaking down, because you realize, one, I love these children. Two, I have content to teach. But third, no one is allowing the space to do that. And that inside of you boils to a point where you melt. And you feel, Yazin, I don't think I'm going to wake up the following morning. But when you realize, by the way, I'm called to do this, let me go back to the fire.
And it gets better.
And get refined.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired hearing such. But my honesty goes deeper than that, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a teacher, and I am also furthering my studies in this education.
Yeah.
But guys, I didn't get to a point where I said next day I'm leaving. I left that day. I left with the kids in front of me. It was my first year. I remember it was 2017. I remember those girls, they were in grade 9. They just finished school last year. I was in a class and I'm trying to mark while they're doing a test, and they just kept whistling, but there's something about that whistle, a very strange kind of whistle. I asked them to stop that whistle, and I asked who was making that whistle. They all pointed at each other.
At least they pointed.
Yeah, they pointed at each other.
There are times when no one points.
Yes, the second time they didn't point. I asked again, who's making that whistle? Nobody answered me.
It's the ghost.
I stood up and I said, all of you can go straight to, dude, leave me alone. I took my bags. I remember I was carrying a black bag. I put it under my armpit and I left. And while I was leaving, and I remember that the principal's office is just after the car park. How am I gonna go past it? I remember going back and I was drinking tea, looking at those kids outside the classroom. And I waited for the bell to ring until they left, and I went back into the class. But I'm glad that I came back. Yes, I did leave on my own accord, but I thank God I came back.
But also on this issue, when you have strong colleagues who believe in you, they'll come to you and tell you, don't allow these kids to take you out of your space. And then you go back there, timidly so.
Yeah.
At the same time you want to leave, but at the same time you are remembering, you know what, this is my space. I went to study for this, and I'm not letting anyone take me out of it.
So these kids are powerful, eh?
Yeah, they're powerful. But you try me now. Try me now. They tried at the beginning of the year again, and I was like, come on, girls, give me something better.
Now I'm
Is
ready.
this all you have? Come on, really now.
Yeah.
Give me something better, So I've got to a point in my life whereby nothing amazes me. Even when they can scream, even if they can shout, if they cannot do their homework, nothing is new to me.
Yeah.
In fact, I perpetuate them. If you want to be a bad person, please do a clean job.
excellence.
Yeah, let's see with excellence this year. Really bad. Give me something new. Yes.
Yeah. We know that it's online now. Internet is slowly, or not slowly, but taking over the teaching and the environment. Would you like to? What do you prefer? Is it between the online teaching and standing in front of those children would make you want to run away and say, I am done?
I think moving with the times, it's quite pertinent. Although looking at our country now, it wouldn't be effective, because you still have those who can and those who cannot. I mean, I've experienced that during the lockdown, the hard lockdown in 2020, where I had a class of grade 12s. I think there were 95. Of the 95, I could only have about 6 on my live teaching time. So it's a great platform, but at the same time, looking at the external factors, it may not be effective.
Because of access and all of those things.
But it's a good thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
It makes your job
Just
easy.
moving.
You're at home, you're in your pajama, you just put on your jacket, and now we are looking ahead. So there's no pressure.
But in terms of what you said, you know you love and the human element, the impact and changing the world and changing, influencing, do you think that would limit you?
It would.
Yeah.
Because you still need that.
You still want to hug your students
Yeah.
and say, all right.
All right. I can see you're not okay. You're grand.
Yeah.
Because I'm in an all boys school. So from time to time,
Yeah, so that What would you say to somebody who says, teaching, I mean, you are young, both of you. You are, I don't want to use lack of a better word, I'll say competing with people who are, you know, CEOs in serious companies, who are doing, you know, in IT and other professions. What would you say to those who think teaching is just not?
I'll say run, don't do it. Okay, no.
Run, say that and never come back.
Run, Forrest, run. No, I would really say in all your studies, it is really tested and it is really demonstrated. You become an IT technician, you become an IT specialist. It is really tested, other than on computers, and also the success of your profession involves other things that are really non-human. One of the biggest battles for a human being, it is to perform their skill in front of an audience. So when you're presenting your craft in front of your audience, it is live. It is unfiltered. So it is really not for the faint-hearted. It's not really for the faint-hearted. So you really need to be sure of yourself. And if you have any doubts about it, and don't be shy to say it's not for you. Because we're living in a state where everybody wants to be a teacher because of the benefits.
It's viable.
Of the holidays, there's so many reasons for that. And now they get lost in the system, and they lose their passion. They find that they don't really enjoy it. They don't have the time for the children, and so it becomes a big issue. So be sure of what you want to do, and be convicted that this is mine. My craft. I'm going to do it in front of this audience, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's it. Now I would really like to add on that one. It's nothing that you should take because there's absolutely nothing you can do. Like now when you speak to learners, what do you want to do now that you are done with school? I was thinking of education. Are you sure you want to go there? So it should be something that you don't even second guess. It should be something that you are looking forward to doing. Otherwise it will mess you up.
Well, personally, I've got great respect for teachers. I really do, because in every profession, nobody can succeed in any profession without vying a classroom. Whether you are on your computer or whatever, a teacher is necessary. But the biggest thing for me is how you besides the curriculum, all the other things that you said, you are there as a parent, you are there as a guidance, you're there to provide that inspiration that is, just by being yourself with a live audience on a daily basis. So I think we should go into showing more appreciation. Most of us, we leave our kids the whole day and we know that the teacher would know what to do with them. So we really appreciate you. Is there any last words that you would like to say to our audience regarding the teaching profession and any other thing around the school environment and related?
You see, with all professions, there are a lot of rewards. You are an IT technician, you take home laptops. You are a doctor, your family can get free consultations. In terms of those tangible benefits, teaching may not be a rewarding.
Not even a childcare.
Yes, it's not rewarding. That's that. But it's not rewarding. And most of the benefits of teaching, they are internal and they are shared within people, and people who enjoy them, your clients, the learners, do not walk around showing them here. They don't walk around saying, look, I had skin graft here. Look, now I had no eye, now I've got an eye. Look, I've got this new sneaker. You can't see them. They're emotional, they're internal. So if you're looking to make impact on the inside, the core being, the core essence of a human being, and the profession is for you.
It is. I mean, if you want to be mad, we usually say you are mad for being a teacher. You are to make a difference. If that's what you're about, then becoming one is a viable option and choice.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. It was really lovely talking to you. If you want to be mad, be a teacher. By mad, we don't mean crazy, like Thabiso has put it. If you want to make a difference, then teaching is your profession. And it definitely is not for people with a faint heart, because as you've heard, there are things that would make you want to run away, but the benefit is greater than the fears, the frustration, and every other thing that is around. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just wanted to remind you to like and subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, your family, so that everyone else can have a similar experience that you had, being encouraged, being inspired, and being enlightened. My name is Fikile Oyekami, and thank you once again for tuning in.